introduction to Untitled Culture, right? Why we find it so fascinating and why we decided to devote a substantial amount of our life to this project. Is if you look at the human history, as far as we can know, art and culture was always accompanying us as a species. Before we invented money, we were already creating art. So art is something very close to our nature. It's basically who we are. It's an expression of us. But so far, the last major innovation in art happened approximately 500 years ago, right? That's when more modern setup of a gallery, auction house, artist, patrons developed. And since then, it didn't change much. It's a very old-fashioned market. And it's ripe for the next phase. And if we are trying to understand what will happen in the future, there are a few ways to do that. One of the ways is to look through the first principles, right? So to boil down something to very basic fundamentals and observe and try to go from there forward. The first one is digitization, right? Something very obvious, you know, not so far ago we were writing hand letters and it was really important the way we wrote them. There were precious physical objects, and now we chat, right, send emojis, and we digitize human interactions. The second principle that we see that are touching multiple markets is sustainability. And what I mean by it is a business sustainability. In current example, Bitcoin, right? It's a distributed network, so there is no central bank issuing Bitcoins, no central bank validating transactions. So how is it done? Well, it's done because there is a reward for people who do that, right? Miners get reward in Bitcoin for facilitating the system. So even if one miner goes out, another will step in. If one exchange fails, another will step in. So the business model is sustainable. It's written in it. And the third thing is the social business model or value allocation. You need to look carefully how you allocate value. Every time in history you have a huge value disparities. Those ideologies fail, those companies fail. And we believe that Bitcoin can help us, blockchain can help us to tackle all of those things, especially in the art and culture world. So very briefly, those three things. So first is digitization. We can create a digital asset class, right, thanks to the blockchain. So you can imagine that a lot of modern art has struggled with selling because it's digitized, right? How do you sell performance? How do you sell music? How do you sell digital photography if it can be copied endless times, right? No one wants to buy it. But you can code an ownership on the blockchain. And yes, there are copies, but there is only one original. And everyone knows who has this one original piece, and only they have the right to trade it. Most of the art, 99% of art is not for sale. It's in the basement of museums. For example, Mona Lisa, right? People want to buy it, maybe $1 billion. Louvre won't sell it, right? But Louvre also needs money. So how do you struggle? You have so many artworks that you cannot sell. They are worth so much. Maybe you create a mirror. You create a digital masterpiece. One and only digital Mona Lisa certified on blockchain by Louvre. The second thing is the sustainability, right? So we have this infrastructure of creating digital masterpieces. How do you make it so that it works, so that people can make money on it? Right? You create a blockchain-based marketplace where people can deal directly between themselves because ownership is written on blockchain. You don't need to trust multiple middlemen, experts, and your friends to validate an artwork, right? It's ridiculous that you are buying 100 million worth art now and you need to trust someone that it's original, and then you feel afraid of checking whether it really is original, because if you bought it and it's fake, what you do, like you sue them, but whether you get your money back. But here you can do a direct transaction. Ownership is on blockchain. It's clear which address owns this art piece. You can do it quickly. You can do it much more cheaply than currently because you don't have all those people in the middle. The third part, which I like a lot when we get to her, it's a social business model, or how you can differently distribute value. We have hundreds of thousands of pieces of artworks. We can digitize them all, but at some point, we digitize all of them, and it's saying in 50 years, 100 years, we don't have anything else to sell. So, we are back to the same problem as before. So what do you do it? You create a carry commission. You create a smart contract that checks always if there is a transaction on the art piece that they introduce. And if there is a transaction, you take a commission and you pay them out. So even if transaction is between future investors, right, dealing forward, they can still benefit from that and create a new revenue stream. They can retire in future, right? Having this revenue stream, they can pass on their address to their beloved ones, right? When they die, so that they benefit from the art they created, and so on, right? You can imagine the possibilities. Only thanks to the blockchain. I think everyone will benefit from that, and already I think more than 60% of online art dealers, marketplaces, they believe blockchain will be the biggest revolution in the coming years for art. And I think they don't even realize how big it will be, right? Because it benefits everyone, right? Investors can make more money. Collectors can finally buy the pieces, whether digital art like Performance or digital masterpiece like Mona Lisa, they can buy pieces that they couldn't buy before. Then you have artists and museums creating new revenue streams, all good for them. Artists love this idea. And then you have the society, right? How can you digitize the whole culture? Well, now you have a model that you can monetize, and then you make money, and then the whole society can access the whole culture for free. We are building the infrastructure for the future of art investments and donations, and I will be happy to answer all of your questions later in the next session.